That this is many people's first in-person event in a while. So I thank Harrison a lot for asking me to come over and you all agreeing to be here in person. It looks so weird with everybody. So this room is usually jam-packed with people, and there's usually like Sodexo chicken, and that's not happening. So what I thought I would do is ask you a couple of questions about what you're doing here tonight, and then sort of tell you a little bit about my background with the relationship to the fraternity, and then the remarks that I was thinking about making and what they would have as far as value goes for you. So let me do that first. So why do you guys meet and hear guest speakers?
To learn.
To learn. Okay, what else? To make an appearance. Aaron. I almost didn't recognize you with your mask.
Yeah, it's also a way to like kind of grow the I guess shadow of the fraternity.
Yeah, so the reach of the
Yes,
fraternity,
exactly.
right? And so they can, the public can see us. So I'm a member of the fraternity as well. I'm a faculty member, or I was inducted as a faculty brother. So Sarah and I were just talking about that. So when you go to hear a guest speaker, what do you want from that person? I'm going to ask you this and tell you what I had in mind. What do you think?
To help my professional development.
To help your professional development. I like it. What else?
I like to hear things that I haven't like heard before.
To hear things you haven't heard before. I like it. Ooh, let's go around. This is good.
Find something you can apply to life or business.
Find something you can apply to life or business, which are sometimes the same. Yes.
To leave the event with a new piece of knowledge.
Yeah, to leave with a new piece of knowledge. And for me, if I can go and have a coffee with somebody and repeat two things from somebody I just heard, to me that's successful. Like, you won't believe, or did you know? Sure. I saw one more. What are you thinking?
Like learn about some of the positions that you hold, like as in jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too. I'm like, I have this uncanny knack when I meet new people of not talking about myself in these speech positions, so I'm trying to do better at that. What else? Anything else? Guest speakers. Yes, sir.
Kind of like a small understanding of what you know.
Yeah, so similar to that, a small understanding of what I know. So it sounds like people are here to actually take like a thing or two away from our time together here with our masks on in the dark at 7:30 on a Thursday, right? So my name is Chris Gurry. This is my 16th year at the University of Tampa. So I'm halfway through 16 years here. So when I was here, this building was called it was a car lot or something when I started here. The building next door didn't exist. So things have changed, and I've seen things change, and then things have also stayed very much the same. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how those two things mingle together, but give you a little bit of background of where I'm coming from before I give you sort of my thesis for being with you. So Harrison gratefully said that I run the speech communication program in the new Master of Professional Communication, which if you're looking for a master's degree, see me afterwards. But what it really started out is I was the only full-time speech faculty member here in 2005. And so every College of Business student had to take the Speech for Business class, which is business communication at almost every other school. Who's taken Speech 208? Oh, this is good. And I've had Harrison and Aaron and Scott and Kelly and everybody. So yeah, and if you hadn't, you probably love the rest of my team, right? So that was cool because you got to interact with the students, but it's not always like that. And over the last 16 years at UT, if you have 3 speeches per class and you have 4 classes you teach a semester, that's 12 classes, or 12 speeches per assignment, times 4 assignments, times 2 semesters, times 100 kids, times 20 years of teaching. So I've probably seen what?
Too many speeches.
Like 10,000 speeches. I think it's maybe double that. We'll have to do the math. Usually I like write it on a board, but it's like 20,000 speeches. And so over the years, I've started to ask questions. And so as I was thinking about what I could talk about in a pandemic, what I could talk about to my brothers in DSP, and what you would take away, like somebody said, when you leave, I was thinking about these speeches, the things that I've learned in these speeches. And so I wanted to share that with you tonight, if that sounds good. A couple of like general themes of things I've learned. And I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about those things that I've learned. And so this is coming from like a speech perspective. To back up a little bit, I didn't plan on this job. So if somebody was like, I came to hear a guest speaker and they run Coca-Cola or they work for Price Waterhouse, I didn't plan on this job. So I'm from Downers Grove, Illinois, which is outside Chicago. We're starting to get more Chicagoland kids here at UT. Anybody from Illinois? Which suburb?
Lake Forest.
Lake Forest. So you're north. You're rich. So we got more Illinois kids. And then I went to Purdue University, which is where? In Indiana. Yep, so go Boilermakers. And then it was time to graduate, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I had two choices in May of 2001. One choice was to be a regional representative for my social fraternity and travel Region 5 and to meet with chapter houses and make sure that they weren't burning things down or hazing kids. Or the other option was to go to graduate school at Florida State and study business comm. So I chose option 2, and I ended up in Tallahassee. So what school is in Tallahassee? Florida State, go Noles. And I finished, but I had some great mentors along the way, and they were like, you really need to get a doctoral degree, or you really need to be teaching college students. And they were right, because every day when I woke up, I'd rather be teaching than doing something else like working in public relations, that sort of thing. So more or less, I made my way to UT, and I made my way as the one business communication faculty member. And along that way, I finished a doctorate in organizational leadership from Nova in South Florida, as well as I have a master's in entrepreneurship from here. So if anybody's thinking about the master's in entrepreneurship from this school, let me know. I can also talk to you about that as well. It's a fantastic program. It's 1 year. General business degree is great. So I have a business degree as well. And I have a lot of business things that go on in my mind, but speech is always at the forefront of what we do, both in the department, in the master's program, and any small business I've started or helped my friends with. So that's just a background of where I've come from to get to my 16th year here. But when I was thinking about, okay, what would these guys want to know, I figured I'd want to tell you some things that maybe usual guest speakers don't tell you. So I want to like pull the curtains back and tell you a little bit about what's going on in a pandemic. Does that sound good? So have you heard that people are complaining lately? People are bitching about everything. Everything people are complaining about. I had a student the other day say to me this, and you might know someone similar. They said, I don't learn well on Zoom. I can't do Zoom. And I'm like, okay. I don't like Zoom either. So I'm the speech guy. But then I said, well, why do you never come to class? And they went, well, it's so hard to drag myself to class. And so I'm sitting there with this person and I'm thinking literally, so what's the third option? Right? Like if you don't want to do Zoom classes and you don't want to come to class, what's the third option? What do you think the third option would be?
Drop out of college.
That's right. No one's talking about the third option, which is, what are you doing? What are you doing here? And so I wanted to tell you all that you're not alone, that people are complaining about different things. Things are difficult right now. And I can't tell you how many times I leave campus at like 10:30 at night going, what the fuck? Like, what just happened? Like, what, like, literally, what the F? Like, what just happened? Because you've got people who, like, they don't want to be in campus, they don't want to be in class, they don't realize what a privilege it is to, like, be in Florida. You know, California's gyms aren't even open. And so it's like, there's all these different things, and I leave campus going, like, what? You probably have people in your Zoom classes who mute the camera and play, Call of Duty, right? So that's up next. And you can see it in their glasses. Like, it's on the TV next to the computer. I don't know if the 100-year-old faculty don't know that, but that's what's happening, right? So they mute that and they play Call of Duty, and it's like, what are we doing? So that's what I wanted to ask you guys today. The two questions. What's the difference between what and what's the difference between why? What's the difference between what and what's the difference between why? And here's what I mean. So when you go and you do something, like join this fraternity, it's not what and you put it on a resume, but I want you to know why. Why did I join the fraternity? And you can easily see the difference between the kids who joined it to hear a guest speaker, to learn something they didn't know, to make a new friend that's not in my dorm. You know what I mean? And it's that same question I keep asking when students leave my Zoom call or they leave my class. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, why did you come back to school this fall? And I don't think that people have asked that question enough. Like, why did you come back to campus this fall? Why do you think kids come back to campus in a pandemic? What do you think? I mean, it's a real question. I want to know. Like,
I mean, for me, I think it's a privilege to be able to be at school right now with
Yeah.
many people are not able to.
yeah, absolutely. What else, Aaron?
I was gonna say I already paid for my house, so I kind of.
I already paid for my house, but that's a why. That's a good why. Like,
Yeah,
I paid for something, and I'm going to take advantage of it. And it's funny because there was that flip side of the thing that was going on where people were all up in arms about UT not refunding your housing if the state of Florida closed back down. People are like, oh, I'm so mad. Like, and I'd be like, well, why are you coming? Like, why are you coming back down if you are worried about losing your housing money? Either come down and get an apartment or stay in New Jersey for an extra semester. There's no problem with that. And I think there's this thing that we think we have to finish. And there's been a bunch of students I've emailed with who are like, I only have 4 classes. I need to finish. I'm like, what are you finishing for? Like, have you looked around? Like, you're gonna graduate and go back to Long Island and do what? So you have to think about, like, what's the difference between what you're doing and why you're doing it. You're gonna miss class. This happens quite often. You're gonna miss class. What do you think most kids ask of the teacher?
What did I miss? Or
What did I miss? And if you're really bad, you say, what did I miss that's important? Don't ask that. We hate that. Did I miss anything important? No, it's just for my health. Yeah. The faculty think it's all important. So instead, think about, okay, what's the most important thing and why do I need to know it? Why do I need to know it? And that's the question you want to be asking is like, why do I need to know this? Think about your K-12 experience. Think about American education, K-12. Got it? Okay. What do we train American students to ask?
what's like K-12 mean?
Kindergarten through graduating senior. What do we train these poor people in America to ask in all their classes? What's on the test? Does this, unless it's changed, has it changed since Purdue? I don't think so. Like, what's on the test? Okay? What do we not ask?
Why?
Why do I need to know this? It's what's on the test. Now, this is a loaded anecdote, right? Because why do we have testing in most of our states? I wish that were the answer. Why do we have fun? I wish it was so the kids could learn. You ever see on South Park where Cartman's like, how do I reach these kids?
Isn't it for funding?
It's for funding. It's for funding. So if you can prove that you have this many students and they do this well, then we'll give you this much more funding. More or less. Now, yes, it's for retention and all that sort of thing, but it's for funding. But we should be asking, why do they need to know this? And so when you think about your kindergarten through 8th grade, through senior year experience, why did we teach people these things? And you want to be asking that question. Why am I doing this? Is anybody familiar with Simon Sinek? So if you're like a business speaker type of person, you hear like Tony Robbins, you hear Simon Sinek, you watch TED Talks, you listen to podcasts. Has anybody been listening to Business Wars on podcast? It's good. It talks about like the diamond industry. They talk about like Amazon and Jeff Bezos and all of these things. But when you think about like why you're doing something, it helps you understand where you're going. So I thought with those business speakers, they're always like, what's your why, right? Like Simon Sinek's like, what's your why? Like start with why. And so I was thinking about talking with you guys tonight, and I thought, we got to be better than that. Like I can't just go talk to a bunch of nice people and say, well, why are you here, right? Now, if I did ask you, why are you here? Not in this meeting, but in the University of Tampa, what would you say?
Get a degree.
Okay, to get a degree. Standard answer for most people who are here. To get a degree. Let's go a step further. Why at the University of Tampa? Yes, we met in, what's your name? Max.
Really good entrepreneurship program.
Okay, so there's an entrepreneurship program. So there's a why, right? It's not just the degree, which might be the what, but why here when there are fabulous community college systems in New York, New Jersey, Illinois, South Florida? Yeah. Networking. We are having a difficult time in the master's program with some of our students who are missing the value of hanging out and talking with other students. A lot of students who are newer to the game just come and they're like, what's on the test? But that's not good enough. You have to be like, why is she here in this program? Why is he here in this program? It's interesting you say that. When I did the master's program here in entrepreneurship 4 years ago, there was a couple of old guys in the program. And my first day, I'm like, why are they here? You know, oh, this is great, right? And then they gave up and they gave these bad PowerPoint speeches and they went on and on and on. But I hung out and I talked to them. What do you think the two old guys did?
Like for a living?
Yeah, like why do you think they were on this entrepreneurship program with people like you, me, I was a little older, we were next door in the beautiful building. Why do you think those two old guys were there?
Are they getting paid to be there?
Nope. No payment.
Because they wanted to learn more about like what the world's like now.
They wanted to learn more, but what else? What do you think they did?
They're probably upper level managers that wanted to break off and start their own companies.
Not only were they upper level managers, they had each sold their business. Millionaires. Both of them. And I was like, ooh, okay. I know who I'm getting beers with. And that has become a lifelong friendship with those people. And so that's like why you come to the University of Tampa, entrepreneurship program. Here, we make fun of the fact there might be kids from Jersey or New York or Illinois. Have you met people on this campus whose parents don't own a business? Right. Okay. So then I thought about, okay, well, we can talk about what versus why, but I wanted to take it a step further and say, so what's the purpose? Why are you here? Why college in America? Why college in a pandemic? And we all have our different reasons, right? Some folks have asked, my friends who are in business have asked, oh, Chris, everything's on Zoom now. Do you think college is fundamentally going to change? What do you think my answer is to that? No. Why? Again, why? Why is college in America not going to change?
Well, I think that one of the things that sets University of Tampa apart was the fact that we didn't have the online and we don't push classes to the online if we can.
Okay.
So I think that going back to that is going to be a big benefit.
So what do you call that in business?
Adapting.
It's a value proposition. So the idea that the value of coming here is that we don't have online classes. Okay? But why fundamentally is college in America not ever going to go away? What do you think?
Because it's kind of like a culture. It's like something you don't want to give away.
Not only is it a culture, just the first 4 words, it's a cult, right? Culture, cult, whatever. They're playing college football on most of the networks right now. Alabama, Florida State, most of the associations are playing college football. Kids will go to school simply for an experience, so it's not going away. And so you have to answer, why is it not going away? Because of the culture. Because the American culture is not going to let college. Zoom is not going to ruin fraternities at Georgia. It's just not, right? If Zoom can't take away this experience, as 4 or 5 of you said was we were chatting, like, oh my God, I'm glad to like see real people and like almost be able to like put my hand on their shoulder. Zoom is not going to kill Alabama football. It's just not going to happen. So then what would you want to know hearing a guest speaker? So I came up with 3 things. So I called them, what's my purpose? So when somebody comes to the office and they provide me with all these problems, I'm like, what's your purpose in doing this? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing with this? And you probably, if you've never been forced to think about this, like look around and think about things that we do that just make no sense. Like think about things that we do that make no sense. And like, what's the purpose of that? Like why do we do that? We can go into that another day. But the 3 things that I wanted to think about are the 3 P's. All right? So what's your purpose professionally? What's your purpose personally? And what's your purpose in pride? So the first one, we'll go with the easy one. What are you doing professionally? Like what's the purpose? So we go back to Chris, right?
No.
Matt, of course. We go back to Matt and we say to get a degree. What's the purpose, man? Like when you're in my office and you're trying to triple major, right? And these people walk among you. They're not human, okay? They major in theater, accounting, and double major in like bio and like MIS. And I'm like, you are crazy, right? But I do shake these kids a little bit and say, like, why are you doing this? So what's the purpose professionally that you have? So we go back to the degree. What's the purpose of getting a degree in America? What do you think? What's your name?
Minimum, Tyler.
Tyler.
Minimum requirements for some jobs.
Yeah, so we've made it like this minimum requirement, but it doesn't have to be. And that's the thing. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what's the purpose? Why are you doing it? Sometimes you serve different masters. It might be your parents. You might have very traditional parents. It might be that you don't have any other options presented to you, and hopefully people like me or mentors that you meet will say, have you ever thought about taking the $100,000 that you're going to spend at UT and opening a food truck? I mean, Dr. Vaughn doesn't want to hear that, but think about it. Like there was that whole uncollege movement about 5 years ago. It didn't take off, but why are you here? And why here at this place, which we covered? Yeah.
I was gonna say, like you said, take that $100,000, get a food truck. What
Yeah.
would you say if, like, I came back, it's student loans, like, that's paying for it, like, every year.
Right.
It's not $100,000 up front.
What do you mean?
Like, take that I don't have $100,000 to
I
put
don't have
into
$100,000
the
either.
business, but I have the $100,000 loans.
Yeah.
So what would you?
Oh, to invest in your education?
Yeah.
Right. So then you have to think about, okay, so if I take out this overhead, what am I going to do with it, right? And that's a whole other discussion when we start thinking about people in this culture, teachers, lawyers, teachers, doctors, police officers and stuff. We sack them with $100,000 to $300,000 in student debt, and they're like, okay, here's your job. It's $50,000 a year. Good luck. And your student loan payment is as much as your rent, which that's just an atrocity for a different discussion. But yeah, why are you professionally doing the thing that you're doing? Okay, next question, professionally. Why did you choose business? What do you think? What's your name?
My name is Brian. I'm not that good at science or, yeah.
So is it default?
I wouldn't say it was a default, but like my father owns a lot of the businesses, and that's kind of how I was raised. So
Okay,
it's like
okay.
business and-
Fair. What's your name?
Samsara.
Sinsara. What?
Samsara. I would say capitalism because we live in a world that is all about business and everything kind of ends up being about business and making money. So it seems like the logical way to think about the world.
Okay, so it thinks about the logical way to think about the world. Capitalism. Do you ever, as a business person, go, why the F haven't we fixed this problem?
Yeah.
Like, Uber has fixed a million problems, has it not, right? Like, cabbies ripping you off, DUI, the whole nine, right? But then you go to the doctor, and you're, like, filling out forms at the doctor, and you're like, what? Really? No one has come along and, like, tied all the dentists in Tampa together? I'm filling this out again. Remember 5 years ago, they give you an iPad to do it on? You're like, okay, it's no faster than handwriting, right? What else?
No, I was gonna say just since business is so broad, you can kind of apply it to whatever your interest is.
Right. So if no one's ever told you this before, business is a social science. So like if you have the hard sciences like chem and bio, so not your forte, right? Business is a social science. It's right up there with communication, education, criminology, sociology, all the ologies, psychology, anthropology. Business fits in there. What do social sciences do?
They have roots in everything.
They do. And what do we do with these roots and everything in social science?
You can apply them with everything.
By doing what?
Communicating.
Answering questions. Social science through it communicating, they answer questions. Psychology, why do we think this way? Sociology, why do they do it that way? Anthropology, why did they do it that way? Criminology, what did they do wrong? Business, how to make money. The number one reason any business exists is to make money. So we move from that and we think about, okay, what's my purpose? Like, what am I doing personally? And this is where it takes sort of a left turn. So I have this assignment. We did it in your class, so in the Speech 308 class, where I ask students to think about their future, and it can't include a partner or children.
Remember that.
Remember that? And it gets really uncomfortable and turns really weird. Think about that. Think about personally, what's your purpose in life if you can't say my purpose is to have children? And you all know someone, especially in Illinois, especially in suburban Illinois, that there's people who go and get world-class educations at Iowa, Illinois, Purdue, and they go home simply to have kids and do nothing else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you take that out of this game and think about, okay, what else would I be doing? People struggle. I struggle. I'm like, why, like what am I doing with my life? Anybody have a purpose besides family and kids? What do you think? What's your name?
Melissa.
Melissa.
I want to show up to a job that I enjoy every single day and work with people and feel like I have control and power over myself.
Control and power over yourself. This is something that's totally changed over like the last 50 years. Control and power over yourself. Has anybody taken a class on the history of industrialization in America? Kind of.
Yeah, actually.
What do you remember anything about it?
I never took like industrialization like that, but I took economic geography and we went over.
That might help.
Yeah.
Okay, why do we have a 9-to-5 work day?
People like routines.
Yeah, where'd the routine come from? Factories. Where'd the factories come from? England. Factories came from England, right? So like Europe creates the factories. Where'd the kids in the factories in England live?
In the factory.
At the factory, which is where children belong, right? No, I'm just kidding. Get to work, Bobby. What I'm for? I know. Next year we promote you. No, but your idea, Melissa. I'm totally kidding. But your idea, Melissa, of like having this control over your like what you do and where you work, entrepreneurship as a field is a new idea. And so to be your own boss and to do things that you want with kids and with partners are novel in a lot of cases, because 50 years ago, it wasn't that way. You got this job, you died at that job, you had that partner, you died with that partner, you had 2 kids, they took care of you, the end. So I ask it not to be sort of leftist or liberal or weird. I'm just saying, like, if you can take kids and family out of the purpose you have in life, what else might it be? 1,000 years ago, it may have been religion or something like those lines, right? But what might it be? Helping others is a good one. And then finally, what are you proud of and why are you proud of it? So, I'll give you an example and then I want to hear from a couple people before we take off. So, I don't know if you've noticed this in the Zoom calls that are taking place or any of the classes you have right now, but have you noticed that people are turning in crap?
What do you mean? Like
The quality of work in the pandemic is shit.
I feel differently.
You feel differently? Okay, good. Why?
Cause I feel like a lot of classes that I think that I like took in person wouldn't have been as productive as we are over Zoom.
Okay.
Because I feel like in a classroom, working as a group, and if you don't meet as often, like on Zoom, if you're in a breakout room and you're working, I feel like it's just more productive in a lot of ways that I wouldn't see.
I need to
in person.
copy this feeling. Like I need to talk to you in a little bit. Productivity is good. I like it. But Melissa's shaking her head no, and we can have opposite opinions, which is fine. What are you seeing, Melissa?
Well, I personally, like, I feel like the work amount has been reduced and like professors are being easier because kids like use every possible excuse like Corona
Yes.
and family problems with Corona
Yes.
and everything. Like, even from like my friends around me, I can tell.
Yes. I've started calling it the pandemic A. Like people are like, I'm just gonna throw it on, and like I know they can't fail me.
So for me, and this might not be everyone, I found that actually professors, they're assigned more,
Oh.
and that's why it's like quantity over quality.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, you don't have to be anywhere,
Yeah.
so you don't have to do anything, here's more work.
Right. Here's more work that is completion graded, not critique. Yeah, I'm seeing all of these three things, that people are just doing stuff and hope it sticks and all of this. But my point with it is, as a speech faculty member or a communication specialist, we see people who turn in speech videos, they've never rewatched them. Like, I would not be proud of this crap that you have just submitted, the guy who has like 4 degrees in the field that you just took class from. And like one person tried to do a speech on the beach, and that was cute. What do you think happened?
Wind.
Yeah, the wind and the waves, and you couldn't hear the poor girl. And I'm like, what does this tell you?
She didn't rewatch.
She never rewatched it. And I know I don't like to like watch my own self a lot of times, but still, like for a grade or for why am I doing this thing? And so it makes me wonder, like, why people have pride in the stuff that they do, and how do we teach pride? If people are just teaching for the test in K-12, or they're getting a degree because it's the cult standard of the United States, or like, what are you proud of? And so maybe my third piece here would be like, can you think of things that you're proud of? Besides your family, like I'm proud of my dad, and he's an amazing business guy, and I'm proud of my family, and they're cool, and they treat people nicely, and they do the right thing, and they don't cheat, and they don't steal. So I'm proud of my family, and I'm proud of my friends. They're great entrepreneurs, and if you want to talk about networking, I'm here for you. But I'm proud of, like, you know, a clean house, being able to pay bills, like going to events, supporting film festivals, and like breast cancer awareness month, and cancer runs, and pride parades, and like I like being seen at these things because it shows your support to other things. And so think about what you could be proud of, and it always goes back to the speech example, like why do people turn in crap? Have you seen a shitty PowerPoint in any of your classes? Yeah, and and what do we say? We're like, oh, I'm bad at speeches. And then we all have to sit through it. We have to sit through it. I then have to turn on Call of Duty while your speech is playing. So I have something to do while I'm watching Aaron's speech about monkeys or whatever, you know? It's awful. So my third point would be, like, think about when you do things, can you do them with pride? And like, look how nice you all look tonight. I always have baby sophomores who say, do I have to dress up? And to me, I'm like, why is this a question? Like, you want to look nice the day you stand in front of 20 people. And they're like, well, but do I get points off? That's the big one. Do I get points off? Everyone wants to know if they get points off. And I'm like, if I could get rid of grades completely, it'd be a done deal. You either want to be here or you don't. End of story. And yeah, like, do I get points off if I don't look like this guy? No, I'm not like the fashion police. I mean, you shouldn't probably be in yoga pants, especially Scott, but, you know, it's, I don't care. But you're always communicating something, and how you dress communicates wealth, fitness, status, health, and if you mean business. And so can you take pride in those things? And so is anybody proud of something? What are you proud of?
I'm proud that I've been boxing for a year now.
Boxing? And you're proud of it, why? We go back to the why.
I'm proud of it. It helped me lose a lot of weight and get a lot more confidence.
Okay. All right. Illinois girl is shaking her head. I don't remember your name.
Claire.
Claire, what are you proud of besides boxing and weight and cheering on Brian?
I'm proud of my confidence.
Okay. Yeah. Girls and confidence. Own it. Yeah, we have a whole gender section in some of the comm classes where girls apologize for things, boys apologize for things. Apologizing. What else? Melissa.
I'm proud of where I am today.
Okay. Versus where you could be or where you came from. I wish you could see my face.
Both.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? What do you think?
I have a tomato plant and it's producing fruit. Thank you.
And it's not dead.
It's
right?
not dead, man. It almost was, but I brought it
Like,
back.
You brought it back. I know. You see these people who have all these like gardens and stuff. I'm like, man, I kill everything except dogs. I keep dogs alive.
That's good.
Lucky's almost 16. What's that?
I said I hope so.
Yeah, I know. I can keep the dogs alive. My myself is a little questionable, but yeah. So, okay. My point here is that I want you to think about the what versus the why, and often think about why are you doing something? Why are we doing this? You know, when students say like, if I come to class, do I get points? And I'm like, why are you paying $100,000 to go to class, period? If it's like a poll, right? Do I get points off if I don't dress nice? I'm like, I don't freaking care. Like, but why would you dress like a scrub? You know? So that's the first one. Is like, what's the difference between the what and the why? And then I thought, okay, as I wanted to talk to these nice brothers in DSP, what three things could I think of that might help them? And so the 3 P's of like, what's your purpose? Why are we having this conversation? And the professional one is easy. If it's just to get money or just to make money, you might be in the wrong field. Like entrepreneurship, you guys have probably talked about this, that entrepreneurs are like crazy. Like they're weird. Like they get really poor and then they finally hit it. Yep. What's that? Yeah, no, they want to work 400 hours a week. They want to put everything on their credit cards. They want to borrow money from their friends, but they're going to get it one day, right? And accountants, you're the exact opposite. Accountants are risk averse, right? Oh my God, these people will count every bean and make sure that they have enough money in the bank or they're not having that Starbucks. It's the complete opposite of entrepreneurship, right? But it's what's your professional purpose? Like, why are we doing this thing? And then the final one I would love to just see that people have more pride in is what's the purpose and the things I am proud of? Or whether it's my friends, whether it's my family, whether it's the things where I can give $10 or if I can give $20 or if I can go to a walk or do a run for something, put it online, put it on my Instagram. Why? Like, why am I proud of this particular thing? And I wish that folks could think more about that. Like, what are these P's that I'm doing? My pride, my professional, and my personal areas when it comes to why I'm doing things. So I started my story with like 10,000 speeches or something, and I thought about over all those speeches, like why would kids turn in crap? Why would you come to college? And why would you get a job? And what do you want to do with these things? And I think if you think about what and why, it's half the battle. But if you think about what's your purpose and why are you doing something, it takes you a little bit further. So that is what I want to leave you with. Thank you.